What's up, y'all? So, real quick before I start this, I want to recommend this channel. It's called Fail For You, and it exhibits a lot of this real women who destroy feminists on TikTok compilation. So, apparently there's a lot of women out here who are talking crap about feminism and exposing it, you know, and you can go to this channel and check it out. So I'd recommend that. It's a little sliver of hope, sliver of light, you know, in the darkness, sliver of hope in the bleakness, the bleakness, I should say. Anyway, but yeah, today I want to talk about Chad. Let's talk about Chad. So I had someone comment. This is a female, and you know, I'm part of some groups, and there are some females out here who understand what we're saying. It's difficult for them to come out of their privilege. I will say that. And a lot of times, you know, these women are not as good looking. I don't know this woman here. I don't know what she looks like. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of times, you know, the women who actually care about men, maybe they're not as good looking. Maybe they were raised different. It's just kind of an anomaly. Although I will say there's some good looking women on here, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, again, you can go to this channel, Fail For You, and check it out. But she says, I still see women in their 30s and 40s with Chads and Tyrone. I say, I would agree, but only if they take care of themselves. There's these type of women out there, but it's not regular or normal. Yes, there are women in their 30s and 40s who, and the video here is why and how women end up with beta males. Which I fully agree everything I've said on this video. I do believe that much of the time women have to end up with beta males because really high quality, strong alpha men are not settling down for used goods, and as they shouldn't. They shouldn't, you know. But let's get something differentiated here. High quality alpha males are not necessarily Chad and Tyrone. When I say high quality alpha males, I'm talking about guys who really got their stuff together, who are good looking guys, good jobs, good careers, and they have a strong sense of self-esteem. They have a strong sense of, you know, their own standards, and they're not going to lower themselves just because some woman throws them a little bit of pussy, because this is the female dating strategy, to throw pussy at women, or excuse me, for women to throw pussy at men and hope the guy will get sprung and buckle down and settle with her. High quality, high value men are not going to fall for that. High quality, high value men have higher standards than that. It's not going to work for those kind of men. All right? Chads and Tyrones are not necessarily high quality men. I made a video the other day and I was talking about my own brother, who essentially for a lot of years was a gigolo, just using women, you know, pumping and dumping and just being a cad, not necessarily a Chad, but a cad. That's an old school word for basically a womanizer. A cad, C-A-D. I think it's called spelled C-A-D. Anyway, Chad and Tyrone are not necessarily high value guys. When a woman is talking about a high value guy for marriage, she's not talking about Chad and Tyrone. Chad and Tyrone are fuckboys. So I agree that there are women out here who are in their 30s and 40s who are still chasing fuckboys, still acting like they're 20 years old, chasing the bad boys. I know there's women out there like that. I've dated some myself here and there in my past, and they're out there, and they're still, again, they're still banging and slanging, banging Chad, slanging that pussy, right? They're still out there. But Chad and Tyrone are not necessarily high value men. When women are talking about high value men, women are talking about guys who want to settle down, guys who have a good career, they're steady guys, and they want to settle down. The problem is that, and this is a problem, and I think Jordan Peterson actually touched on this a little bit at some point. The problem is that a high value guy who has the higher value he is, the less he wants used goods. If he's really high value and he has options, meaning he's got women coming around who want him, and he's got the power of choice, right? A lot of times the difference between an alpha male guy and a beta male guy is the beta male guy has no choice. He doesn't have options for whatever reason. He's short, he's not that good looking, right? Usually that's what it is. It's physical characteristics, because let's be honest, if a guy doesn't have a good career, he's not even in the ballpark. He's not even in the realm of, okay, I want to settle down with this guy. I'm looking to, because that's just how women are. They require money. So if he's got money and he's good looking, sorry sister, but he's got options. He's got lots of women who he can take or leave. And a lot of times what guys do in that scenario is they just pump and dump. Or they just date around and they jump from woman to woman. They exercise their options much like women are exercising their options. Okay? The difference is that Chad and Tyrone usually are just good-looking guys. They're alpha males in the sense that they're jocks, they're athletic, they're just born good-looking. That's how my brother is. My brother's not successful financially. He doesn't have a good character. He's not diligent in his career, that kind of thing. Doesn't pay a mortgage, doesn't have a good car. That's my brother, but girls love him because he's just naturally good looking. He got all the looks, right? And he exercised that by just being a player. He applied it by being a player. But women, smart women or women who really, are looking for a high value man would not consider my brother a high value man. He's just really good looking, right? He's not a high value man because he doesn't have a good job. He doesn't make good money, right? So there's a lot of Chad and Tyrones out there who are just good for one thing, right? They're just good for slanging dick. That's it. And there's a lot of women out there who are only good for banging and for pumping and dumping. They're not high value because they don't have good character. What makes a high value woman? Good character. She's smart. She's funny. You want to talk to her. You want to have a conversation with her. She's got a good personality. And really, moreover, what's more important is that she doesn't have a huge leg count. She's not a chicken head. She's not a town bicycle. She's not easy to get into bed. Not to say that she's not sexual per se, but she's not easy to get into bed. And that's a dead giveaway. This is why a lot of women make guys wait, because they're like, hey, wait a minute, I don't want to be perceived as loose and slutty because it'll ruin my chances for a long-term relationship. A high-value woman does not sleep around. But how do you find a high-value woman in today's day and age? This is the conundrum. Because we have Tinder. They're all sleeping around. Even if she's not as obviously... Here's the thing. Because they have so much options, they don't have to be obviously slutty, right? A lot of women today are what I call closet sluts, right? They know how to make it seem like they're not slutty. And that's a problem for high value guys, because a lot of times we can't tell. How do you tell? Well, there are dead giveaways and there are red flags. Does she sleep with you easily on the first date? That's a red flag. Does she like anal? Does she suck your dick like a professional? Those are giveaways. Those are tells. Those are red flags. This is why a lot of times guys usually like to wait a long time before they really commit to a woman, because they want to see if she's just putting on a front. And this is smart. You should do this. You should. You should wait a long time, because who she's pretending to be or who she's portraying herself as might not be who she really is. That's just a fact, right? So let's keep things in perspective. Yes, there are women in their 30s and 40s who are banging Chad and Tyrone. But first of all, those women are not high quality. And Chad and Tyrone are not really high quality either. It goes both ways. Chad and Tyrone, for all intents and purposes, are just like Stacy's and Becky's. They have as much options as women do, really. If they're that good looking, the Tyson Beckfords of the world, the Taye Diggs of the world, the Josh Duhamels of the world, Leonardo DiCaprio's of the world, guys who are just banging women like women are going out of style. Those guys are not necessarily high-value men per se. They're just good-looking. Well, Leonardo DiCaprio is not the best example because a lot of the reason why he gets so much pussy is because of his fame and his money, as opposed to his looks so much. He's not as good-looking as, say, Tyson Beckford or somebody, right? Anyway, that's not necessarily high. Chad and Tyrone's are not necessarily high value, right? So a lot of times what women have to do, and it's also a strategy, right? It's part of a strategy for a woman to lock down a beta male, because the beta male isn't going anywhere. The beta male's not going to cheat on her. The beta male's going to worship the ground she walks on, and she likes that. But she's got to sacrifice. He is a beta male. He's going to be compliant. He's going to be passive. He's going to let her take the lead. He's going to do everything. And so it's like, it depends on the type of woman. She might be a narcissist. She might be damaged. She might be, she might want to take the lead. And that's not necessarily good. It's like, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a happy, loving relationship. Because deep down, women want masculine men. And if he's passive and he's, a lot of times these guys, it depends. A lot of times these guys, they kind of have to have this quasi-masculinity or this quasi-beta-ness about them, which is agreeable. They have this agreeableness, right? And Jordan Peterson talks about this a little bit, why men shouldn't be agreeable and things like that. And it really just depends. It depends on what the girl wants. It depends on her background. Again, a lot of times women have to, not only do they have to settle for beta men, they want to settle for beta men. Because, the beta male is not going anywhere. He's going to worship the ground that she walks on. He's going to sacrifice for her. He's going to raise her kids. He's going to accept her used baggage or her used, all her baggage. He's going to accept the fact that she's used goods, right? He's just elated, over the moon to have any type of woman pay attention to him because he doesn't get anything, right? So this is a strategy not only for the beta male, but for the highly used woman. This is a strategy for the type of woman who, has been around the block. And now she's like, okay, it's time to settle. I hit the wall. My looks are going away. I have a kid. I need help, financially, and I have no energy to do anything because taking care of my kid is so hard. I need a guy to help me. A lot of the reason why these women settle with beta males is because beta males are good helpers. They're sidekicks, and they essentially just follow her lead, really, even though they might have this quasi kind of masculinity about themselves. It's funny, but white knights and beta males, they think they're more masculine than other males, and it's I don't know what it is. It's some kind of retarded, and I mean that. I say retarded not in a derogatory way, but in the actual most literal sense, meaning their brains are not up to, like, they don't get, like, you're being used. And it's kind of a retarded concept. They don't get it. Like you're being used. And they don't understand that she's taking advantage of your chivalry. And for some reason, these guys, these little Boy Scouts, they think that being chivalrous is some kind of act of masculinity that makes them more alpha if they're more chivalrous, which is nonsense. The reason why is because a lot of times their chivalry is misplaced. It's like defending women's bad behavior. Like, oh, well, we live in a post-patriarchy world, so women should be respected even though they're sluts and they have no respect for themselves, even though they're just nasty and used and all this stuff, right? And he'll defend a woman for that. And it's like, he really has a misplaced sense of chivalry, a misplaced sense of protectorship. You don't protect somebody who's doing dirt. You don't protect somebody who's doing bad things, somebody who's immoral. You don't protect that. You call it out, and you don't want to be a part of it. That's real masculinity. That's what a high value man is. A high value man is not going to settle for Stacy the slut who's been around the block. A high value man is not going to settle for that, right? High value man wants a young woman who's not used up, who's feminine, who's submissive, who's not going to try to compete with him in the relationship, in the house. She's not going to like, it's not that she knows her role and all this, she needs to be this kitchen dweller, cleaner. That's not it. It's that she is feminine. She understands what it is to be feminine. And a lot of what it means to be feminine is to not only let the man take the lead per se, but a lot of times women are doing this because they're smart. They're not doing it naturally. They're doing it because, they want to make the guy feel like he's the leader. So because he's so beneficial to them, it's part of their strategy to keep a guy. But say he does something, say all of a sudden she doesn't want him anymore, and she's going to discard him. All of a sudden she's masculine. All of a sudden she's ambitious. All of a sudden she's no longer submissive. You see, a lot of these women's submission is fake. It's only around when all her boxes are checked of what she wants. When that doesn't happen, she's no longer submissive. Now all of a sudden she's strong and independent, and she's audacious, and she's go-getter and all this stuff. But when the guy has something she wants, she tries to make him feel like he's the man, he's the leader, he's this and that. It's this phoniness. When men can smell that out. A woman who's really submissive is just naturally like that. It's not because she's trying to put on a front. But nowadays, who's really submissive anymore? These women are bred and brought up and taught to be just like men. They're all warped. And a smart guy, high value men are smart, and they know. We can tell that you're not really submissive. We can tell. And the other thing is, so many of these modern women are just warped anyway. So it's like, what's the point? What's the point? But again, high value men are not Chad and Tyrone, and women in their 30s who are still messing around with Chad and Tyrone are certainly not high value women. And you could argue and say that, oh, well, they're not settling for betas. And I guess, we could give them brownie points in that sense. At least they're real enough to where, like, yeah, I don't want no sniveling beta. I don't want no passive submissive guy just because he's steady and he got money. But I bet you these women in their 30s and 40s who are doing that, I bet you they don't have kids. I'll bet you that. I'll bet you they had a lot of abortions, right? I'll bet you they don't have kids, because once a woman has kids, that's all she wrote. She's got to hang up the jersey. Once a woman has kids, 9 times out of 10, she's looking for a man to help her raise them kids. She ain't just looking for hookups. Not to say she won't hook up. Not to say she won't still mess around with Chad and Tyrone. She will if the opportunity arises. But a lot of times, these women have kids. Chad and Tyrone doesn't want her anymore, first of all. Second of all, her priority is to settle down with a man to help her raise these kids. So I hope that's a little more clear. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Chad from a different perspective in my next video, but I'm going to leave that there and come back to the Chad topic, but a little bit on a different subject. All right, appreciate you listening. Jay Lee, Northwest Podcast. Peace.